So in this clip, we're going to continue about these issues around this, case that was opened, multiple cases was opened by Fadiel Adams, and he ended up being asked to reissue another case, and then they also had given him some heads up how to word another case at in the same region in um, Gauteng province, that led to the arrest of the head of intelligence, Mr. Khumalo, and another person who is a senior, not a senior, but mid-level manager who hired a person who worked at BMW. So what's wrong with hiring somebody who is a cleaner to working at BMW if the person has the skill? Is it because nepotism? But do you arrest people, put them in jail, and then bar them from continuing with their work? So this is what Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi addressed that issue and talk about extensively around the involvement of judiciary in protecting this drug mafia, specifically around the two people that we know of that are in jail at the moment, KT Molefe and Molefe Cat Matlala. Let's listen.
NPA for investigation. So IDEC had written a letter to the Divisional Commissioner of Detective Service to hand over those dockets, which was done towards the end of 2024. So IDEC is now in possession of complaints. I had said earlier, the report from Inspectorate said there's no elements of crime on this complaint. It's a hearsay. The legal services from the police are saying the same thing. Mr. Adams does not avail himself to be interviewed in order to deal with this complaint. But fast forward, commissioners, General Khumalo and the team, one of the critical two people I'm going to mention in the team is the provincial head of crime intelligence in Gauteng, who started this, who brought General Khumalo into the picture, because he was approached by the head of detectives on Gauteng and said, there are threats against my members, please assist with the threat assessment. It is that General Kalakala who spoke to Nduli to conduct that threat analysis, and they reported to General Khumalo. So they invited General Khumalo to get involved as Gauteng. So that Kalakala is arrested with Khumalo. And the charges that they are arrested for, or the case they are arrested for, it's a case that is with IDEC. The case is opened in June of 2025. But the case has got the same charges, a complaint from Mr. Adams, similar to what Mr. Adams deposited the previous year, 2024, in October in Cape Town and in November in Johannesburg. It's a similar complaint that these members are arrested for by IDEC in June. But what is strange about it, commissioners, is that instead of IDEC working on the complaint of Adams, which had no basis for a complaint, and effect arrest on that, they did not to date. But they sought to get Mr. Adams to deposit another statement, whether it was coached or whatever. He deposited another statement at the beginning of 2025 in January to IDEC, a completely new statement, which now must prove to some degree that there is crime. So that would enable IDEC to then investigate. In January, the statement is dated. In June, the case is registered. The same June, these members are arrested.
Can you please detail the differences between the two statements for me to follow the point you've just made?
Commissioner, I'm going to invite the team to bring that have been arrested and charged, to bring the copy of the charge sheet and the statement that was deposited in that case docket to come and present to the Commission. I don't have it with me, but I have access to it and I read it. So that's why I'm able to draw comparison between this and that. So the question I was asking, but IDEC, why didn't you arrest them on the October and November complaint? Why did you put another statement in January?
That being the complaint of quote-unquote interception.
All what was mentioned in October and November in Cape Town and Johannesburg, one of those was the appointment of this Ms. Mukwele. The arrest is about Ms. Mukwele.
Okay, all right.
But the statement from the complainant, Mr. Adams, is dated January now. It's a new one.
Okay.
a completely new statement which was retaken. But the case is not a similar case as those two. So it's another completely new case that is registered, as if it's a new thing. But, well, if there's evidence of a crime, I'm not going to argue that. They've got all the rights. If there's crime committed, they must act on it. They've got all the right. But what is strange, Commissioner, I'm going to invite South Africans to go to that court, and if so, demand to see the charge sheet. I'm not a lawyer. Many South Africans are not lawyers, but they will read what is sitting in the charge sheet. And they will know that this, in any given day, it should not have landed in a criminal court of law. But it is there. Magistrate signs a warrant, or IDEC investigator signs a statement and gives it to the prosecutor in IDEC, who signs off that statement. It goes to the magistrate approves the warrant of arrest, and these people are arrested. And they go to court. In court, strange things happen, Commissioner. That's what makes me to then get to worry. That's why I'm talking about it here today. Because one of the strange things that happened that involves a magistrate who's presiding over a case that the members from crime intelligence are arrested on, he imposed a very bizarre bail condition towards those members. And the bail condition that is imposed by the magistrate in that case against these members from crime intelligence said explicitly that these members who are arrested for facilitating the appointment of Ms. Mkhwanazi from BMW to crime intelligence are barred from going. Not this incident happened in Pretoria in their offices. They are barred not to go into any premises of crime intelligence anywhere in the Republic of South Africa. That's a bail condition. This is not what the state asked for, but this is what the magistrate took it upon himself to impose on these members. Remember, Commissioner said, it's the same team that is busy with the operation of Gauteng counterintelligence operation. They are barred by magistrate to get involved or enter any premises of crime intelligence. So by default, it means the operation that they are busy with against the drug cartel must stop immediately. So, as I said, maybe the magistrate, someone will say, no, he erred, it was an overreach. I don't believe it's that. I believe it was a calculated move to make sure that they put a stop on the involvement of these members with this operation. And I can confirm to date, Commissioners, that that operation stopped. While the members are crippling, trying to work, but it's frustrated. But it doesn't end there. It does not end there because a person who's got an oversight in the runnings of crime intelligence, which is the Inspector General of Intelligence, is demanding the files of that operation. He wants to know what's happening with that operation himself, which is very interesting. Why would the Inspector General be interested on an operation specific? So we have no other reason than to believe that this bail condition, not the arrest, maybe they did wrong during the appointment of this individual that warrants such a case and such charges. Maybe it's justified, but the bail condition is a problem. And for those that follow the case, and I've seen media houses that are here today, they go to court, they listen to the argument, and they go out and they file their reports and they come back to court. The last one was supposed to be on Monday last week. It was postponed because the recording my device was not working in court. And it was just only one courtroom. The others were working. But that one, so there has to be this delay of them coming back. What is strange that happened, which I did not put here, Commissioners, is that many of those members that were arrested, one of them that is one of the charges, he's got two charges. The other one I don't want to talk about the prostitute and the loss of a firearm and stuff like that. He has to answer on that case. But he's also charged on the appointment of this Ms. Mkhwanazi. So when the whole lot appeared in court and they were granted bail with those conditions, this one was kept in custody, and he appeared alone the following week. When he appeared alone, he appeared before a different magistrate. And the different magistrate made it clear and said, it's not the job of the court to put conditions about where to work, where not to work. We are releasing on bail, go back to work. It is the National Commission of the Police that will decide whether to enter this building or not. Because the state does not say that your being in that building, how is it going to affect the bail condition or the witnesses that are there. So this is a bail condition given to one accused. And this one accused occupies a position of a CFO of this secret fund at Crime Intelligence. He was suspension ends, and he pitched up at Crime Intelligence to go back to work. And he was told not to go back to work. Yeah, well, the National Commission will come and explain the reasons for that, but Ms. Kohler Barnard released a publication on that, and she was very aggressive towards the National Commissioner, saying that the National Commissioner does not even know the terms of the bail condition of this person. The court said this person must not enter the building of Crime Intelligence. She said that, and she wrote it down, and the bail condition does not say that. So it means she missed that the other magistrate is the one who came with the condition, but the other one that affects this CFO did not say that. But she is of an opinion that this person is not supposed to enter the buildings of Crime Intelligence. So therefore, and I'm told by the National Commission going to come here that the head of IDEC phoned the National Commission and said that person must not come back to that building, the CFO, despite that the bail condition does not demand that. So this is just to show that there are all the efforts that have been put in place, not against the members of Crime Intelligence that are accused of appointing a wrong person. If they did that, they must be penalized, it's fine. But there's an overreach in getting to frustrate this project. So this is part of the ongoing things that are happening as we are sitting here today. That the project against Matlala's, against Molefe's and the others is being frustrated because the people responsible for this project are told by the magistrate never to enter the premises where this project is running.
So in short, General, you are saying someone must have influenced the first magistrate.
Commissioner, you are a judge. I'm sure, I don't know whether you will have access to get to see the charge sheet. You will make your conclusion, and you are all legal experts, whether was the statement from the investigating officer, or so-called investigating officer, I must qualify that. The investigating officer, Mr. Padayachi from IDEC, which was deposited, was brought to the magistrate seeking the approval of the warrant of arrest, whether was it justifiable for the magistrate to sign it. Then fast forward, you're coming to court. In court, you have a magistrate that comes with these bail conditions, whether was it justified. So behaviors of both senior people within the court, it makes me conclude that it's a part of a plan to frustrate this project. So I invite the commissioners to have access into this record in court so that we can be able to see what are they charged for and what crime did they commit. And while on that, I'm going to invite you to, I spoke about IDEC yesterday, that the arresting officer, which the court gave instruction on the bail condition that if these members want anything at Crime Intelligence premises, they must contact an investigating officer, Mr. Padayachi. Mr. Padayachi has never touched a case docket in his life. It's a person who's an ex-employee of the police. It's an individual who's an ex-Crime Intelligence member. But he's a head of that investigation against these members of Crime Intelligence. It is the magistrate that grants this Padayachi a right to have access to Crime Intelligence. If these members want anything at Crime Intelligence, they must talk to him. So we invite the commissioner to go and check on the record of the appointment of Padayachi in IDEC, his qualifications, and IDEC may will come here and justify why did they choose such a person to become a senior investigator at IDEC that is charged with the responsibility of dealing with serious crime, and yet to bring a person who is retired from the police to become a head of investigation at IDEC with no qualification whatsoever on investigations and grant that person an authority to be the one that is going to handle these matters. So I invite the Commissioner to go deeper into that matter. I don't want to engage more on it, but it's a worry for me because it's a picture that is there for everyone to see. So what is then in the media, Commissioner, as part of the strategy, I said, this is how it works. Make them look bad. Oh, at last, the people at crime intelligence, they've been arrested because of the slush fund. We still have players at crime intelligence that were there in 2011 who are part of this plan, and they are still there today. Bran Mokhotsis are referring to them. So I'm going to end it there.
As you end there, would I be correct, and I apologize if I interrupted you, I didn't mean to, would I be correct with reference to your statement that what you have just engaged the commissioners on is summarized at your paragraph 162? I would like you to have a glance there. Would that be a correct assumption on my part, or at least interpretation of your statement?
That's correct.
Okay, so insofar then as your concern regarding the judiciary is concerned, and in particular this one magistrate, and in the specific case, you draw a conclusion at paragraph 163 that you may want to summarize.
If I were to read this one on my conclusion, Commissioners, if you allow me, I say again, raise a concerning feature of this criminal investigation, as well as its progression through the courts. The complaint originates from Mr. Adams, the Member of Parliament, and I've explained in my statement its dubious genesis. As to the role of IDEC, I fail to see how an employment matter of a mid-level employee rises to the level of serious, high-profile or complex corruption or unlawful activities arising from the State Capture Commission. This is where I end, because I believe this is what IDEC is about. But this is now about an employment of a mid-level manager employee that throws IDEC into the picture from the same complainant, Mr. Adams.
This whole thing about this employee from BMW who was hired, it highlights the very thing that Mkhwanazi has been talking about politicians in South Africa interfering with law enforcement and the corruptions around all arms of enforcement, including judiciary, including the judge who said these people shouldn't come near the workplace, which is not the role of a judge to say that. But you can see the reason why they've said no, to bar them from continuing their work so that they shouldn't arrest this drug mafia who has been alleged they're funding politicians. We've seen the receipts where Vusi Cat Matlala funded the ANC caters and the ministers in their trip to Cape Town. We saw that, and we could also assume that on the other side, even the Democratic Alliance, they have their own mafia that actually have been doing this, helping them and funding them their own campaign and giving them money for drug mafia. So they are now using the IDEC in order to stop a legitimate investigation by police. That should actually scare all of us if that is what is continuing. This is a mafia state. And all signs are here that this is mafia we're dealing with here. I mean, it's so unbelievable. The fact that you have even them, the DA, and all of them now threatening Dudula with police, and the member of police of Dudula been going to jail, and the judge has been throwing the cases because there is no you cannot charge citizens who are lawfully standing at the gate. There is no charge. You can actually charge people from doing that in South Africa. So you can see even them throwing police into this, the citizens against the police. it is the same them interfering with the work of the police. They interfering with IDEC, they interfering with a lot of stuff. They turning the country into apartheid 2.0. All of them, they are turning South Africa back into apartheid 2.0. This whole thing, if anything of this thing is true, which I think it's true, Mkhwanazi, he's got a very good reputation, and you can hear from he knows his stuff. This is not a person you want you you don't want to mess around with the Mkhwanazi, uh he just shows a very different kind of leadership. That's why they hate him so much, because he's not corrupt. They cannot corrupt him. They cannot uh, entice him with anything. He's a man of integrity, and they hate him. And you can see how the story they write about him, they're using the media to write all the stuff that are unfounded about him, just because they want to damage his reputation enough to ensure that their mafia can continue. The drugs that are destroying community, because even this stuff around the Dudula at the gate. What Dudula is doing at the gate, he is stopping the API, active pharmaceutical ingredients, that these foreign nationals, illegal immigrants, were used by some politicians to get this medication, the pseudoephedrine and the one for cough meter that contain opiates in it, to use them to channel them elsewhere. We know, as a pharmacist, I know that some of these medications that were mentioned, these cough mixtures, contain a API that could be diverted elsewhere to make it drugs like ice. And today, I saw a post from the police saying that they've intercepted a manufacturing of ice in a farm just today. So that's why they're so angry about Dudula. It's not about them caring about illegal immigrants. They don't care anything. They care about the API, the active pharmaceutical ingredients that Dudula is cutting, by demanding that everyone that comes to those clinics has a South African identity. And people who don't have identity should go private or go to Home Affairs and get their stuff sorted. Their status in South Africa, if they're illegal, get them sorted. But instead of, as a legislator, to deal with that and provide that leadership around getting these people their status legalized, to evaluate if they need to be legalized or not. If they don't, they need to be deported. They don't do that. All they do, they are forcing them to these neighborhoods that are already burdened, that are underfunded. That is the recipe for disaster. And because these neighborhoods were smaller community, if you're Australians, you may not understand this. If you go about, say in the Northern Territory, where there are, indigenous community live there, most of these community, they know each other. They definitely know each other. There's a small group of people. And if you bring all the illegal people, aka boat people, in there, and you dump all there, and then because previously they knew each other, and then previously there was no need for this identification and stuff like that, because the smaller community. Now you put in all the people and that are illegal, that some of them the government doesn't know who they are. They come in there in that place because that place had not been secure enough, that there are biometrics identities, script monitoring system. Because there's no biometric and script monitoring system, that's why they want to be there. The reason why they force themselves, if despite so many clinics in South Africa, even private, I don't go to a this community in the sick healthcare when I'm in South Africa. I go to the private because it's affordable and cheap. I can go there. But they're forcing them to this community because of this loophole. You can see why they're targeting this community. They don't go to other community in South Africa, because of this loophole, that they could then get in there and get this API. And apparently they've been going to different clinics, and then this API then can be misused and diverted elsewhere to make this drug called ice. That ice is going to be sold in the very same community to destroy the very same community. The anger against Dudula is directed because Dudula is cutting the API, active pharmaceutical ingredients, from pseudoephedrine and from the opiates. So now they are targeting Mkhwanazi. They arrested this team of intelligence because they had nailed the people who were responsible for these cars in South Africa, the healthcare cars. They have nailed them. They're in jail. Then there is another people are in jail. Then, especially Vusi Musi Cat Matlala, is not in jail because of this stuff. He's in jail because of the attempted hit on his ex-girlfriend. Because ex-girlfriend allegedly knew that, suspected that he would have been involved in the murder of a public servant, Dabita Deokaran, who was working in public health care, who stopped the transfer of funds to Musi Matlala's company because she had flagged that companies as not legitimate companies and not meeting the standard that's required to provide equipment of public health care. The company had not even registered with PRASA. PRASA is equivalent to Australian TGA. So she flagged it all and said, no, hell no. And because she had said no, she was murdered allegedly by the same group, but we still don't know who ordered the hit. But then the ex-girlfriend of this man called Vusi Musi Matlala communicated this information to a friend of Vusi Musi Matlala that she suspected that her ex-boyfriend was involved in the murder of this woman. Then the people were sent to her way to try and attempted to murder her. And that's why through this investigation, the team of Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi uncovered this communication, this relationship between the minister and the drug mafia. And also through that investigation, they uncovered how politicians were putting pressure on the team. And they started to stop the investigation of this team because they thought this team, PKT team, was responsible for it. But they went away. There's another team called a crime investigation. When they found that that team was involved, they put all these charges against that team. Like he's just put it very well that how these things work, how corrupt it is, the government in South Africa. This is called the mafia. If you don't believe this is mafia, people, we're dealing with a mafia state, and it's in both sides of political the DA and the ANC. And we also have smaller party like this one called the National Coloured Congress, and NCC, the Fadiel Adams, also involved from Cape Town, because Cape Town is the zone 1 for these drug cartels, and they spread across South Africa. And the anger against Dudula, it's nothing to do how they care about illegal people. They care about the API. All right. Thank you guys for listening. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. Until next time, see ya.